All of this confusion. Yep, feels like a Monday. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Disclaimer, everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Yeah, it's Monday. The sun isn't even coming up all the way, so I'm just using my ring light because I don't want to turn on all my lights. So we're just going to do it like this. It was either this or faceless. And I work from home, so this is about as good as it's going to get. And the cat's messing with the curtain. That's about as good as that's going to get too. Now, we are in information overload when it comes to the last 2 days of hearings in the Bryan Kohberger Idaho 4 case. Thursday gave us so much information when it came to Dylan and what might have actually happened statement-wise, but then again, we also have just 1,000 more questions when it comes to what she might have actually seen. One thing we know for sure, Bryan Kohberger's facial structure is not recognized by Dylan. And I don't care what the state says. Oh, of course she didn't recognize him. She didn't recognize him when he was walking through the house in the first place. That eyebrow and the way that the eye sockets and the eyes are shaped would have been stuck in Dylan's head, in my opinion. And she would have recognized if Bryan Kohberger's structure was similar. And according to what Jennings, the state itself, Jennings that works for the state itself, Jennings who is a prosecutor for the state, has now came out and verified that not only was Dylan shown a picture of Bryan, which we've been asking for a while, but no, she didn't recognize him. Now, the timing of that, I'm curious about, whether it was pre or post arrest. That's what I want to know next. I wanted to get up early and get this video out before I actually clocked into work because there's been some misconceptions on 2 really big statements. And it's actually really funny how whenever somebody comes to I don't even remember the person's name. Somebody came into the channel and they commented, go back and listen to how they marked Bryan Kohberger's car at the Ridge Road camera and how they're admitting that he was in Moscow that night. And I'm like, that's not what was said whatsoever. And I'm like explaining to her, or I'm guessing it's a woman from the username. I'm explaining to them that's not what was said. It just says that the camera at Ridge Road is where they were able to see the car fully in order to get an ID on the vehicle. It had nothing to do with it being Bryan Kohberger's vehicle. From what we are being told in court, this 1125, I think it's the address, Ridge Road address that I showed you guys maps of whenever we went over all of this. It is the only camera where there is a car clear enough to make out the make and model. Because we also have to remember that in court, we're told that the car in the PCA doing the 3-point turns and all the things, it doesn't show up on any other cameras. It's only on the one camera in the neighborhood as it's doing all the turns and stuff. So according to that logic, the car at Ridge Road and the car at King Road are not the same car. That's just the only car in the time frame that they were able to look at where they were able to actually match the make and model. Nothing said in that statement says that it was Bryan's car. I'm going to go ahead and play it here.
Would cause one to think that the vehicle's identified on the camera near the house, and that's not so. It's not identifiable. The state's expert said it's not identifiable from that particular video. It's piecing together the other videos that they come up with something.
What's the evidence that they relied on Ridge Road, which you say doesn't show anything? What's the evidence they relied on that to ID the vehicle?
They relied on the Ridge Road camera, and you can see that in the emails from IMO and the other law enforcement officers when they say they have Paradise Creek Road, and then they say we finally got a good one, and it produced to us is the 1125 Ridge Road footage and photograph, and that's the only one that you can make a positive ID on the car.
So as I'm listening to this part again while I'm editing all my stuff in here, what I'm taking as what the judge is asking here is what about on the car is what let the experts finally say, okay, this is a good one. We finally know that it's a 2011 to 2013 white Hyundai Elantra. And what she says here is that there was no affidavit attached, meaning that there was nothing attached when it came to the information of, oh, well, the light curves this way and that light didn't do that until this year. So therefore it couldn't be anything older than a 2011. But then the fender also does this and that didn't actually stop happening until 2013. Therefore, it couldn't be anything newer than a 2013. He's asking for specifics because I'm guessing there's nothing on it. And Anne literally does state there's no affidavit attached. So she has a picture. She has the email correspondence, which again is something that she asked for way back in the beginning, was all communications in email, text format, with phone calls, who talked to who about what, those kinds of things. And it looks like she's using all of it. And, this is what they said. They were going to use the discovery to prove that Bryan was not the guy who did this, that he was going to be exonerated through the state's evidence. So according to the state's evidence, this Ridge Road video was the only one clear enough, but they don't have the details. And that seems to be what the judge, in my opinion, is asking for here. And Anne is clarifying to him, well, that part, the specifics wasn't given to me. And it's funny because whenever I was trying to explain to this person what was actually being said, I read the first couple of words of their response and immediately just put my phone down and didn't give a shit what they had to say. Because the response was, well, we have a different opinion on things. Honey, baby, the opinion might be different, but the facts remain the same. Zelda. So just because you might have a difference of opinion than I do about what actually happened here doesn't make the facts any different. So that's why I was just like, I don't really give a shit what this person has to say, because if they're going to go based on the fact that we have a difference of opinion, so it's okay for them to be wrong in what they heard in court so they can continue their falsely misled opinion, then that's on them. And I'm not going to sit here and waste any more of my time. But for the majority of people out there, they honestly just misheard. Because I will tell you right now, this next one about him being in Moscow, that's not what she says at all. But the first time around, because I wasn't paying full attention, I thought she said that he was in Moscow that night. And you can go back in my chat when we went over this live, and I even typed in the comment bar, did she just say he was in Moscow? I'm going to have to go back and listen to that again because I don't understand what she said. And I let it play in real time, and I chat with you guys on the side so that it's uninterrupted. So it's not like I was going to stop and have a conversation about it right then and there, but we did have a conversation about it when we went back over it doing a live review. And whenever I listened to it again, I understood exactly what Ann Taylor was saying. I'm going to go ahead and play the clip here.
But then you have this false narrative that looks like stalking, that looks like following, and it's not true. That is extremely damaging. It's very misleading. It's an outright lie to the magistrate. When you omit that kind of information, when you take that context out, you might as well say stalking because that's what you're trying to say, and you know that's not true. This court can rely on our proffer in D1B and in the cast draft report and in the cast final report because those dates change. The court can rely on the evidence that will be produced at a hearing from defense experts that will talk about the handoffs, the patterns of handoffs, and how misleading that paragraph was to the magistrate. The real story is exculpatory to Mr. Kohberger. He was not stationary around that house. He was never at that house. He did go to Moscow. He did drive around, but he wasn't over there. And the phone records absolutely show that.
So she's not going to sit there and say that Bryan Kohberger was never in Moscow. We have a pullover. She's not saying that he was in Moscow the night of the murders. She's saying that there was never an instance where he was anywhere near King Road where he was parked stationary, stalking them in that area multiple times, that he was in Moscow. Ever since he moved to the area, he has been to Moscow. But she said nothing about him being there that night. And I find it funny how people can sit there and not listen to words, not comprehend things correctly, and then just take it as, oh, well, we have a difference of opinion. Again, that has nothing to do with anything. Literally nothing to do with anything. I don't care if you have a difference of opinion, as long as you've got the straight up facts. So if you can come to me and still say that Bryan Kohberger is completely guilty, 1000% beyond a reasonable doubt, there's no doubts about it, he's the guy, after hearing he's never been around King Road, he's never sat there and stalked the house, there's no actual proof of it whatsoever, and then also hearing that they still to this day have not one single piece of anything that actually tells them that it's Bryan Kohberger's car and it's just been a bunch of guesswork, then you can just have your opinion because you're a lost cause, baby. Those two things seem to be the most, I guess, misconstrued statements. And because I had like a lapse of, what did she just say? The first time I heard that Moscow statement as well, but I had to listen a second, a third, a fourth time. And now probably 5, 6, 7, 8 more times while I'm clipping to put in here and then going back and editing what I'm putting in here to show you guys. And it is not once ever said anything about Moscow that night and anything about that vehicle being pegged as being Bryan's. All that it says is that that video was the only clear video where they were finally able to actually make a make and model. That's it. But that is it. And don't forget, for my members, we are going to be doing our members only live this evening. I will have a link for it out shortly. But let me know what you guys think about these two statements down in the comments. Have you guys seen just as much confusion as I have? And not just in my comments, but over on Twitter, people talking about it on Reddit, people talking about it on Facebook. All you gotta do is go back and listen again. Listen to it until you know you've got it down. I know it's hard for some people, but you can literally fix this misconception on your own if you just give it a little bit of effort. Again, drop the comments. Let me know what you guys think. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on the way out. Subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. And please don't forget to make sure that that notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.